Well, I'm back for another video, and yes, it's another sewing machine video. Today we have the top of a Singer Model 527, and I've been successful in getting this little snap ring off, which means we can pull this cam off. And I've found I can buy fancy cams all over the place, but looking at these are fairly simple. I think I could laser cut something probably out of acrylic that looks a lot like this. But these ones are made in Great Britain as well. So I think I can probably measure the maximum and minimum thresholds on this, and I can manufacture something to do some fancy stitch patterns, maybe something unique to myself as well. We'll have a look. So let's get started in AutoCAD, I guess. Well, I had about a half hour of recording or screen capture of me designing all these cams, but it screwed up. Windows 10 updates. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So we're now in my horribly dirty workshop with my laser cutter that I'm about to fire up, and we'll cut a few of these, and hopefully I can actually capture this for a little montage, the laser cutting process. So yeah, let's get everything fired up and aired up and get the laser warmed up. So apparently today is Democracy Sausage Day. I voted some time ago because I wasn't going to be around at the time. But sounds like I might have to be changing my smoke alarm battery soon, because we may or may not have a new Prime Minister, I don't know. In any case, back to the video at hand. We have some replacement cams, or some fancy cams. Now this one's the one that interests me. If I pop the original off, this is what I wanted to make a replica of, to make sure that all my cam spacing was correct. So we should, if everything is correct, layer these over the top of each other, and they should look more or less exactly the same and symmetrical. For some reason, the cycle they have requires an array of 18 positions for high and low. So this high point here is when the needle is in the fabric, and this low point here is also in the fabric. They're going to do all sorts of fancy things in between. So when I've done some of these, while they look round, there are facets to make sure that the needle is still lost in the fabric. Same with this guy here. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Let's whack one of these on and see what happens. Okay, I have my little octopod perched precariously on top of the machine. Let's see if my tolerance is right. These are actually going to fit nicely, which will be nice. I don't need to put this on, they fit so firmly. So let's engage our mode here. Let's see if I can turn this without upsetting the octopod. So we should see this spinning in the correct direction, and it should ride on that nicely. So let's drop down to the needle and see what's happening down there. Okay, so let's see what's happening here. We can see that it's hopping from side to side as you would expect with a zigzag cam. Alright, so let's pop our zigzag cam off here. We'll pop you off. So what are we going to try? Let's try this guy. This is the three-way job. I'm not even sure what to call these cams. Let's engage our mode. So we're going to go in, and it is going to move slightly whilst it's in the fabric. So this is going to give a... That might not be the best one to use because it's going to try and move whilst it's in the fabric. Yeah. I think that's probably a needle breaker, that one. I'll have to have a rethink about how we do that. Alright, let's swap that out. Let's try a double arc or an oval shape. Elliptical is the word I'm looking for. I did use an ellipse to design this one. I'll drop you on. So let's see how this goes. We're going to go and it's trying to move whilst in the fabric, so I don't know if this is a good one either. Alright, so that's interesting. I'll drop you out. Let's try our half zigzag arc thingy, whatever that is. Some of these have been inspired by stuff I've seen on the net. Okay, so we should have a zigzag pattern happening here, and it'll do several zigzag stitches, and we're coming around the last zigzag. Now it should go onto the arc section, and it's going to move while it's in the fabric, but we might try this anyway on some soft fabric and see what happens, I guess. Either way, I've got my tolerances right in that it's not going to clash with the inner workings. Alright, so let's try my crazy stitch. So this is the one I'd call a crazy stitch. It just works in sequential steps in portions up and down, and has a funny little reset here because I didn't stack up to multiple 18. So let's try that one. Stick you on here. Right, so that's actually operating pretty close to what I would have expected it to do. Yep, and then we go back to a reset position. That could be the interesting one. I think we might thread up and try this one. Before I thread up, I thought I'd just show you this running. Let's actually use the foot pedal here and get this running. We'll have a quick look down here and see what's happening here. Which is interesting, I like that. So, alright, threading up time. Alright, I'm not sure how this camera angle is going to work, but let's try our crazy cam. I'm going to just get a stitch through here to start with. There's a bit of oil that's come down because I just recently oiled a component here. Let's engage our zigzag stitch and see what craziness ensues. Alright, let's have a look at what kind of a stitch we got here. Looks kind of like a fancy zigzag stitch with the occasional hiccup. I guess I'm going to call that the preschool crayon stitch. It looks a bit crazy. Let's throw a different cam on and see what happens. Actually, before we throw a different cam on, this is the underside. I'm not sure that's really the best. Well, before I throw another cam on, I think I need to find out what's going on here. I tried a straight stitch just to be sure, and it's tangling the hell up on the underside. And I don't seem to find anything functionally wrong. I think it's probably a tension issue somewhere. Having just said that, I think I found my issue. I've threaded wrong on the tensioner. I'll fix that and try another straight stitch. Alright, we've got a correct positioning on the tensioner. Let's see how this works. Alright, with the tensioner corrected, I'm just going to crank this through by hand for a few stitches and see what happens here. It seems to be doing its job a little better, but we'll find out when we pull it off the bottom. Alright, let's lift our foot up and see what we get. Well, it's looking somewhat better on the bottom. Oh, let's come back here a bit. Somewhat better, but still not quite satisfactory. Let's get all of this through. Right. Let's give it a longer run and see what happens. Let's try a bit of fabric over the top of the camera here. Let's drop it all in here. We'll run a little bit through here, set it to a fairly large spacing, and straight stitch. Let's just use the foot pedal here. Right. Now, nice. I have dressmaker scissors now, by the way. Now, the contrast to the proper threading, that looks much better. Alright, so let's try our crazy stitch again then. Let's flip this up here, engage crazy stitch mode and adjust the camera. Let's run this through if I can hold it right. Alright, let's try this. Right, let's come in with our snippers. That looks a little more interesting on the bottom, but it also looks kind of crazy. Well, it's what we expected. But let's have a look on the top here. Still looks kind of like Kinder Crayon effect, but now that we've got our tension problem sorted out, let's try one of the other cams that I think might bust a needle. Okay, so the next cam I'm going to try is a little more civil. This is a sort of a hybrid cam. I'm concerned that this area that looks curved, the flats really aren't long enough, even though the flats are the same width as these. I'm thinking it might move while it's in the fabric. Let's disengage our zigzag mode, pull our cam away, pop this guy off, and we'll pop this one on over the locating pin. Where are you, locating pin? You're right there. Okay, engage zigzag mode. Alright, let's put the top back on. Here's our top here. We're going to have to move you. Here we go. Here's our top. And we'll load our two screws back in. And we'll chuck our screwdriver in, which I'm doing one-handed here, by the way. These are just going in gently, mostly because I don't want to break the plastic, and they're only temporarily in place. Okay, let's see how our hybrid cam works. We'll drop back down here, and we'll see where we're set up. Now we'll play out. Just drop my roller thread on the ground. We'll be back in a moment while I roll that up. Okay, we've got our hybrid cam installed and our thread is all rolled up. Let's get a few stitches going in here. Let's run it through with the foot pedal now. suspect we have tension problems again. Yep. It slipped off the loop. Oh, what a pain. I'm not sure if it's the cam to blame or my incorrect threading, but I think I've seen this stitch pattern somewhere before. I might not have been the first to think of this, but that's an interesting one. That seems to be working okay. Let's get our tension redone again. Alright, I think I've got some of the kinks ironed out, and I'm going to engage this cam only 50% of the way this time, and we'll see if we can get this worked out. Okay, let's see if we have tangles underneath. Oh, we don't. We're looking good. Geez, that looks crazy on the underneath. On the top though, it looks a little better. Let's try engaging this cam 100% of the way. Alright, we have our setting on the hybrid cam at 100%. Let's see how we go this time. Oh, we don't appear to be tangled. That looks good. Here's the underside for you. You can see that. The top side, on the other hand, looks a little better. You can see here our stitch pattern is actually coming out nicely. Not too bad for some homemade cams. Let's try another one and see what we can do. Alright, I've got my triple arc style cam in here, which is comparable to my double arc one, which is this one. Let's see what this does. I think this is going to cause some havoc, but well, apparently I need to rethread my thread. Okay, needle rethreaded. Let's try again. Alright, get this started. Now let's use our foot pedal and gently guide this through. Alright, here goes. Clearly we have a problem. There we go, let's keep going. This seems to be working relatively well. Where did my dressmaker scissors go? Right here. Let's have a look at what's going here. This looks pretty interesting. This could be decorative. Let's try the underside. Underside looks a little horrible, probably because the needle's moving around there whilst it's grabbing a loop, and whilst it's in the fabric. Let's give this one more run, and then we might call it quits for the night, because it is quite late and I'm tired. Pull a bit through here, and we'll sit you down here. I might try just engaging this 50% of the way and see what happens here. See if we get something looking a little better. Alright, here goes. That squeaking you can hear is a misaligned cover plate, but we'll fix that in a minute. There's a wheel on the top there that I need to learn the purpose of as well. Alright. Well, as we might expect, it's a less pronounced effect, but it is. It's pretty horrible underneath. So mixed results for these cams. I think I'll put the original zigzag back in, and I might order a cam kit. Maybe copy them and put some CAD plans up somewhere, maybe Thingiverse or something. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. And it is possible to home make parts for your old sewing machines, which is handy to know in case they ever stop working. Oh, and I think I found a threading problem here that might have affected that. You know what, I think I've had that incorrectly threaded. Let's give this one more quick run and just see if I had everything wrong. Alright, let's do this. Let's give it one more go, see what happens. Here we go, this way. Alright. Let's have another go here. Snippety snip goes the scissors. That's looking better. Yeah, most of my problems have been down to me having this machine incorrectly threaded. So it looks rather okay underneath. Let's have a look on the top here. That's a nice looking stitch. So yeah, I'll buy an official cam kit, but for now I think the laser cut ones are doing a reasonable job. So yeah, here's our cams, and yeah, you can make your own parts for these machines. This is just simple 3mm MDF. If you notice, the original parts are about 3mm thick as well. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I'm sure I'll be back with some other sewing machine related problem at some point in the near future. Have a good one, guys. There's my thumb. See you later.